Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, and today we got a lot of NBA news and some NBA rumors as well. So let's start off on the rumor side of things with Gregg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. Could the longtime head coach be headed to Brooklyn? Well, according to a recent report from Shams Charania, the Nets are going to try and pry Gregg Popovich away from the San Antonio Spurs. Now remember, he's been with the Spurs since 1996. That's longer than I've even been alive. He has 5 championships with the Spurs and 6 appearances in that time as well. We all know Pop with the days of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, but now the Nets are saying they want somebody to coach up Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan and Caris LeVert and Joe Harris in Brooklyn next season. Now, you look at the past 5 years, and it's been a bit of a downward slope for Gregg Popovich, but really more so for the San Antonio Spurs and not so much the legendary head coach. Back in 2015-16, of course, we saw that incredible Spurs team make it all the way to the conference finals and then get bounced. The conference semifinals. Then the next year, they make it to the conference finals. Then 2 consecutive first-round exits, and then this past year, they missed the playoffs altogether. They come in 11th place in the Western Conference for the first time in what feels like forever. The Spurs are not in the playoffs. So now you look at the team that's trying to get him, and it's the Brooklyn Nets. Now, they were just swept by the Toronto Raptors in round 1, but you got to remember, they were missing 7 players leading up to the NBA bubble. So nobody really expected them to do anything. They still finished 7th in the East, and they were a scrappy team. Right now they're being led by Jacques Vaughn, who's the interim head coach since Kenny Atkinson got fired earlier this season. And now they turn their attention to the offseason, where the only thing that matters is getting their players healthy. When 100% healthy, this lineup probably top 3 in the Eastern Conference, if not number 1. Now, mind you, Joe Harris is going to be a free agent, so he might not be back, but for the sake of this roster court, we're going to go ahead and have him on the graphic. Kyrie Irving, Caris LeVert, that's your new backcourt. Caris LeVert had a coming out party in the Orlando bubble. He looked amazing. Kyrie Irving hasn't been healthy all year, and you got Spencer Dinwiddie backing him up. Joe Harris, shooting three-pointer, and then Kevin Durant, of course, coming off the torn Achilles, is going to look to get back to his 27-point-per-game self. And then I've got Jarrett Allen slotted in as the starting center. I think he deserves it over DeAndre Jordan, but some might want to go with the veteran leadership of Jordan instead of Jarrett Allen in the middle. Now, they would very much benefit from having Gregg Popovich. In fact, any team would benefit from having Gregg Popovich at the helm of it all, but it's just not that likely. So what I'm going to do is ask you this question. I'm going to make it the pinned comment on today's video, so if you're watching on YouTube, you're probably going to get hit with a quick little ad break here. But I want to know, what are the chances that Gregg Popovich leaves San Antonio this summer? 0 all the way to 100%. I'm going to give it a, let's see, doing some math in my head, you carry the 4, bring over the 3. I'll give it a 3.2% chance. I don't think there's any way that he leaves San Antonio, and especially not to go to Brooklyn. He's staying right where he is. Now, if you're an NBA fan, go to chatsports.com/NBA mask. Get your favorite team-themed mask today. Look, it's just the way the NBA goes. It's the way the world is going right now. You got to wear a mask no matter where you are. So the best way to do it is rep your team. And if they're in the playoffs, it's the best time to get one. Chatsports.com/NBA mask has any team you want, and you can get as many as 4 in a pack. Best bang for your buck is that 4-pack, but maybe you just need the 1 mask. Again, go to chatsports.com/NBA mask. Get your favorite team mask today at Fanatics. Now let's keep talking about the NBA coaching carousel that it is just a complete carnival right now. Another team that just got swept in the playoffs, Brett Brown's Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the anticipation among coaching circles in the NBA is that Brett Brown and the Philadelphia 76ers will part ways very, very soon. Now, remember, 7 years ago, he was chosen as the head coach of the quote-unquote process that involved a lot of tanking and a lot of terrible teams. His first 3 years with the 76ers, he won less than 30% of his games, won 75 games in 253 losses there. Then, all of a sudden, Joel Embiid gets healthy. They get Ben Simmons in the mix, and they start to look like a legitimate championship contender. Bounced out in the second round in 2017-18. Of course, last year bounced out by the Toronto Raptors as Kawhi Leonard just barely made that game-winning shot to send them home. And then this year, you get swept by the Boston Celtics, and you're the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Now, of course, remember you were playing, Brett Brown and the Sixers were playing without Ben Simmons in that first round of the playoffs. He got hurt in the bubble, and they were not the same without him, but they're still ready to move on from Brown. They think that he just does not have a command of this locker room, and we'll talk more about all the issues that he presents here in just a second. But you're building around 2 stars. And the latest feeling, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, is that the Philadelphia 76ers are looking to not move Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons, but to build around these two despite their dysfunction on the court of sorts. Both of them not great shooters, but Ben Simmons, when you got a 6'8" point guard averaging 16 points per game, 8 boards and 8 assists, you're doing all right. Same with Joel Embiid, probably the second best big man in the NBA right now, 23 points per game and 12 rebounds. So they're going to try to build around these two guys. They think the problem is Brett Brown. Now, according to multiple reports, Brett Brown just never gained full control of this 76ers locker room, and he never earned the respect of the players on this roster. Players began to question his matchups defensively and the handling of the starting lineups, including the move from Al Horford from the starting 5 alongside Joel Embiid to the bench. That was a big question mark for a lot of people. And then you look at what Matisse Thybulle has done with this team, one of the best defensive rookies in the league, and Brett Brown can't figure out how to play his minutes. And that was a very big point of frustration for not only fans, but also the team as a whole. But you come back to Embiid and Ben Simmons because they are at the center of all of this. No matter what Brett Brown does as a coach, you got to be able to have your stars contribute and work well together. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. Should Philly trade either of its star players? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And what I'm going to ask you is this. If you say Y for yes, if you go ahead and just say yes, they need to trade one of them, I want you to tell me which one of those two they should trade, Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons. Let me know down in the comment section below. Now let's go to some player news here. Domantas Sabonis of the Indiana Pacers has missed the entire first round of the playoffs against the Miami Heat with plantar fasciitis in his left foot. So he left the bubble, went to go get that plantar fasciitis treated, and then now he has returned to the bubble. But he just began quarantining on Sunday, so he won't be able to return to the Indiana Pacers for at least 4 days as long as he's posting negative tests. Now, Indiana and Miami play their 4th game on Monday, and Indiana is currently down 3-0, large part due to the fact that Domantas Sabonis is not playing. Sabonis, selected to his first All-Star team, has averaged 19 points per game and 12 rebounds this season to go along with 5 assists. Not great three-point shooting right now, but not a big deal when you're as dominant down low as Sabonis has been. Now, Indy is very much struggling. As I mentioned before, they're down 0-3 in the first round. Now, Indiana is the 4th seed. Miami is the 5th seed, and they're going head-to-head. If Indiana can win at least one game, if they can win their game on Monday and extend the series, there's a chance they get Domantas Sabonis back. And if they get Sabonis back, maybe this team has a fighting chance. Now, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, but that's what they're going to try to do if they get Sabonis. And if he's in the mix, this lineup looks a lot different. Malcolm Brogdon has been outstanding in the bubble. Victor Oladipo has struggled quite a bit, but that's because his best player next to him isn't there. Miles Turner in the middle, of course, and, of course, the legendary bubble T.J. Warren has carried this team all throughout the NBA bubble. So that's the Indiana Pacers. That's Domantas Sabonis. He may be back. There might not be time for him to get back. We'll just have to wait and see. But I talked to our data scraper, and they were telling me that 73% of the subscribers on Chat Sports are NFL fans. And me, being the NBA guy, we can't let that happen. We got to get more NBA fans in here. Need more of you guys subscribing. I mean, that's just not a good number. When you're that outweighed, it is not pretty. So what I need you to do is, if you're an NBA fan, scroll down and subscribe. And then let me know that you have so that we can report that back and hopefully get the statistics turned back in the NBA's favor, because we all know NBA greater than NFL. Now, let's move on to Fred VanVleet of the Toronto Raptors, an unrestricted free agent this summer and looking to get a big-time pay raise. Now, VanVleet's only making $9 million this year. I'd expect him to at least double that, depending on what the cap looks like. But Shams Charania has said there are 3 very clear teams already going after Fred VanVleet and ready to pursue him when he hits the open market. Now, we're going to talk more about those teams in depth here in just a second, so stay tuned for that. But let's look at what VanVleet has done in the first round of these playoffs. 21 points per game, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and that is not a typo, shooting better than 55% from beyond the three-point arc. Fred VanVleet has been the best player on this Raptors team throughout the bubble, and in that first-round sweep looked like it as well. Now, the Raptors are going to go up against the Boston Celtics in the second round, and that is going to be a very fun matchup where Fred VanVleet's going to have to step up big time. But VanVleet's not the only free agent for this Raptor team. Now, the Raptors, of course, being the defending champions, are now the second seed in the Eastern Conference, despite everybody's doubt. And they have a lot of pieces that could be on the move. Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, their two best big men, are expected, besides Pascal Siakam, of course, are going to hit free agency. Chris Boucher, who's been a nice little project, is also going to hit free agency. And Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, who has turned himself around this year with the Toronto Raptors, is also an unrestricted free agent. So this team could look very, very different next season. Now, the 4 teams interested in Fred VanVleet right now are the Toronto Raptors, obviously his current team. They want to bring him back. There is no secret about that, and they'll probably have the money to be able to do it. The Detroit Pistons, which is an interesting team because the Pistons are in need of a point guard, but they also have the 7th pick in the NBA draft. Now, my most recent mock draft, I had them taking Killian Hayes out of France, and we'll just have to see if they take the point guard or if they try to go after someone like VanVleet. And New York Knicks need a lot of things, but a guard is one of them, and a guard that can score in bunches is definitely one of them. But the Knicks have the 8th pick in the draft, and they could go after a guy like Cole Anthony out of North Carolina. Maybe they don't need Fred VanVleet. Phoenix Suns, of course, they have Ricky Rubio in there, but they would like to kind of upgrade and get younger at the same time. But also the Phoenix Suns have a good draft pick, top 10, in which I think they could take a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. So maybe it'll all fall right back into the Toronto Raptors' lap, and VanVleet can just stay where he is. So here's how I'm going to end today's show. I'm going to ask you this question. You made it this far, so I want you to make your voices heard in the comment section. Which team should Fred VanVleet sign with? The Toronto Raptors, the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, or the Phoenix Suns? Let me know in the comment section below.